In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to lose between 10 and 40 pounds in a healthy, sustainable way and then keep it off forever. Most women think that if you're over 30 and 40 and you've got a demanding, desk-bound career, losing weight is about finding the perfect diet or the magic workout plan. But it's not. What you actually need is a simple step-by-step system that fits around your work, your life, your body, and lets you drop the weight without doing anything unsustainable. So in this deep dive, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And you're probably thinking, will this actually work for me? Well, what I'm about to show you is basically all I've done for the last 3 to 4 years, and I'm kind of obsessed. And before I started this, I had a decade-long career in the accounting and finance world. In 2020, when we all got forced to work from home, I put on a lot of weight. So in January 2021, I came up with protocols that allowed me to drop 42 pounds in 6 months, whilst working flat out as a busy partner consultant at the time and keep it off for good. But it's not just me, it's working for other people too. Have a listen of this 10-second clip.
This feeling that I have, it's very hard to express. I mean, there's no words to kind of justify it. But me, myself, and people who are close to me that see me just a few months ago, they can see a huge difference. And I think that's, just really nice.
And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see it's worked for over 300 remote women as well. Now, I'm not saying this can happen to just anyone. You do need certain things in line before you see the results in this way. And those things will become crystal clear as I walk you through the process. This video will be longer than my other videos, but I want to give you as much value as possible. So let me walk you through the strategy I use. Now, the traditional thing you see online, which I don't really like, is people will tell you to do something very drastic to put you in that calorie deficit. And yes, technically it can work, but here's the problem. You get told to cut out carbs, track your calories, fast, do cardio, go for a run, do your HIIT workouts. It's basically like saying, if I'm behind at work, I'm going to fix it by adding more to my calendar. More meetings, more catch up, just more work. But the more you add, the worse it gets. You don't get more productive, you just get overwhelmed. Whereas if you look at that one workflow that's broken and fix that, everything speeds up with less effort. So this system for me is about creating a really simple, enjoyable process to lose weight and get fitter that actually works. And I don't think of it as a straight line. I think of it as a bridge. And this is what I'm going to show you today. All you need to lose fat, tone up, and become that best version of yourself, full of confidence, able to fit in those jeans at the bottom of your bed, is to cross this bridge. And the cool thing is, once you've crossed this bridge, you can stay there for the rest of your life. Now, the results for this will be slower than what you're used to. If you need to lose weight for your holiday next week, this isn't going to be the system for you. It's like saving for a house deposit. You can either portion every month by making sustainable changes, or go to a casino and try and do it all in one night. But if you're a woman who's over 30, 40, 50, and you want a more enjoyable, sustainable approach to fat loss, this is going to be the path. So let's look at the 3 phases you need to go through to cross this bridge. Now, the very first step in making this change is making sure you have the right mindset. Don't worry, I'm going to show you all the specifics in workouts, diets, hormone balance, resetting your metabolism, and everything else you came for in just a sec. But without this step, the rest isn't going to matter. And to start, you need 3 things. A clear goal to understand why this is important to you, and realistic expectations for how this can be achieved. Now, with the clear goal, I'm not going to say you need a smart goal, but you do need a clear idea of what success looks like. That could be losing 20 pounds, fitting into your favorite dress again, playing with your kids without getting out of breath, reversing your cholesterol like I helped my client do in a previous video. I'll have so many consultation calls where women don't know exactly what success looks like for them. You cannot get somewhere without knowing where you want to get to. It would be like a pilot trying to jump in a plane and just take off without knowing the destination he needs to get to. Without that clear goal, we can't reverse engineer the journey. And just to clarify, I want more energy and confidence is not a specific enough goal. Now, I want more energy, so I stop needing 4 coffees a day and I can wake up at the same time without feeling shattered. And I want enough confidence to speak up my next company all hands wearing my favorite blouse without shaking and worrying about if my belly's sticking out or not. Now that's a goal. No clear goal means no clear solution. Next one. Every person I've ever met wants to improve their health and fitness, but if you don't know why you're doing something, it's going to make it so hard to do. I'm not going to lie, there are going to be times where you do not want to go and work out and eat what you need to. And without that why, you will sooner or later drop off. And lastly, realistic expectations. If you started working from home back in 2020 and it's taken you 5 years of bad habits to put that weight on, is it rational to assume that you can just reverse all of that, lose all the weight, develop the identity needed, whilst now being older, and do that all in 12 weeks? Does that seem logical? It's like those get rich quick schemes where if you just get 2 and they get 2 and then all of a sudden you're a millionaire. Do those still exist? Now, you are going to see plenty of testimonials out there where Martha lost 30 pounds in 10 weeks, and you will be tempted. But show me her in 3-4 months when she's finished the program and she's put all that weight back on again. In fact, let's do the maths on that. If she's losing, what did I say, 30 pounds in 10 weeks, so that's 3 pounds a week, that means she'd need to be in a 10.5 calorie deficit per week. So that's 1,500 calories every single day. That's no days off for the whole 10 weeks straight. The average calories burned by a woman is 2,000, but let's just say she was really active and she was doing exercise and it's 2,500. So she'd need to be eating 1,000 calories a day to hit that deficit. 1,000 calories every single day for 10 weeks. Do you think that's healthy? Do you think her body will not fight back? Now, losing 30 pounds is completely possible, but you need the right mindset and you need to stop looking for quick fixes. Okay, now we have your goals, we can go into phase 1. This is where most women jump straight into cutting calories, doing a load of cardio, and then burning out before week 2. But we need to take a step back. When I was a child, before we set off on any long journey, my mum would pop the hood and check the car. Probably showing my age, I don't think people still do that anymore. But the point is this, you need to make sure your body is ready before you start the journey. First, we need to make sure your body is primed. You've probably heard to this as resetting your metabolism or optimizing your hormones. Unfortunately, there is no magic pill that just fixes everything overnight. But what we need to do is make sure your body is ready. If we take my client as an example, when she came to me, her previous coach had told her to be on 12,000 calories a day and do 4 gym classes a week. So she was coming to me still doing that. And we also done a sleep log right at the start and saw she was averaging 4.5 hours of sleep. I also got her to do a blood test which showed she had low iron, but her body was not primed to go into fat loss. If I start her with strict workout, strict diet, her body is just going to fight back and it's going to be an absolute nightmare. You may have experienced this. What we need to do is restore her hormones back to optimal levels first. And we do this by actually increasing her food and cutting out the cardio to bring our body out of that starvation mode. And we also need to slowly build in habits. With her, we created a specific morning and evening routine. When you're starting out, the habits you choose shouldn't be too difficult. They should be whatever's the easiest, but also going to give you the biggest needle mover effect. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. All right, that's great, but just give me the juicy stuff. How do I actually balance my hormones and fire up my metabolism? But here's the thing, the juicy stuff is actually the most boring. For example, we started her off with a 20-minute morning walk. Okay, Javid, that's great, but that's not exactly going to do any wonders. Or is it? Let's look at what a morning walk actually does. Firstly, cortisol. That's going to spike first thing in the morning, which is when it's meant to. Second, it's been shown to improve insulin sensitivity. Thirdly, light exposure lowers ghrelin later in the day and improves leptin sensitivity, which is what ultimately regulates your appetite, helps with melatonin production, which hopefully you know improves your sleep. I could go on and on, but this boring 20-minute walk in natural sunlight every day will do more for you than any supplement or pill on the market. Going back to phase 1, we also need to build a plan that lasts forever, not just one for 10, 15 weeks. This is the time to experiment with what works for you and what doesn't. Maybe you thought you'd do all your workouts in the morning, but soon find out you're not a morning person and maybe evenings just work better. There's no pressure in this phase, no pressure to get results. Ultimately, we're just building in that plan and getting your body ready. Okay, so now we understand why we don't just jump straight in the deep end. Let's talk about getting the plan together itself, because that is ultimately what is going to be that vehicle to get us over the bridge. For phase 1, the plan needs to achieve 3 things. 1, confidence that it fits your schedule so you can build the momentum and consistency. 2, addresses the whole 24 hours in the day, 7 days a week, not just a few hours you're going to be in the gym and eating. And 3, gets you the results in a healthy, sustainable way. Okay, let's talk about the elements you probably clicked on this video for. Exercise, sleep, nutrition, and habits. All of these have to loop back to whatever the ultimate goal is. So let's take an example of you want to lose 20 pounds. To lose the weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. Okay, you need to burn more calories than you consume. But hopefully you're picking up now. That doesn't mean you have to starve yourself, drop your calories all the way down. That is not the answer. We need to fire up that metabolism, and this is where most people go wrong. See, we're all taught in the movies, school, that if you want to lose weight, you need to go for a run, go and do a ton of cardio, right? But have you ever noticed when you go to the gym, the people on the treadmills are usually full of people who aren't in the best shape. You may have tried this yourself, so let me show you why this doesn't work. This is your metabolism, all the calories you burn throughout the day. And these percentages are the amount of calories you burn for each part. So this bit here, 70%, this comes from you just being alive. So me just sat on this chair, or if you were to go and lay down on the sofa all day, this is how many of your overall calories you burn in a day would come just from that. This bit here, the 20%, comes from the movement throughout the day outside of exercise. So things like walking to the kitchen, just fidgeting, just general movement. This 10% comes from the calories it takes for your body to digest food. And this little 5% at the top comes from the calories you burn exercising. So if you want results, your plan needs to encompass the whole 100%, not just that 5% at the top. How do we do that? Let's start with the exercise. Instead of using exercise to focus on that 5% at the top, we need to use it to influence the 70% at the bottom. Wait, hang about, Jared. You said that 70% was me laying on the sofa. What's this got to do with exercise? Well, when you go and work out, you have two options. You can either do cardio, so running on the bike, or you can go to the weights area and lift some weights. When you're doing the latter, picking up the weights, here's what's going to start to happen. First, you're going to start to build some lean muscle, which means when you're sat at your desk or lying on your bed, your body is going to burn more calories because your metabolism is largely dependent on how much lean tissue you have. Muscle takes more energy to maintain than fat. So adding muscle tissue is going to automatically mean you burn more calories when you're at rest. Secondly, women who diet and then rely most on their weight loss coming from the cardio, when you go and do the cardio, your body adapts. It's very clever. It will drop your metabolism, aka the amount of calories you're going to burn throughout the rest of the day. By the way, this is called adaptive thermogenesis. Strength training, however, sends signals to maintain that muscle, which again is going to help keep your metabolism high, which is obviously perfect for fat loss. Strength training also helps improve insulin sensitivity long term. It increases post-exercise energy expenditure. Basically, you'll burn more calories for the rest of the day after you've lifted weights. It supports hormonal health in women, things like estrogen sensitivity and cortisol regulation. It also protects against age-related muscle loss, which is obviously very important as you get older. I could go on and on, but I want to make it clear strength training is way more important than cardio for your goal. In fact, unless you really want to, I don't really have my clients doing cardio until maybe later into phase 2. And even then, that's only if they want to. Now, I'm not going to give you a full workout now. I've done full videos on that, but you do need to bring in strength training very early into your plan. Start with 2, maybe 3 45-minute sessions each week. If you're new to lifting, don't rush, don't go heavy. Take your time learning the different exercise. Work with a coach who can give you some feedback. Pick exercises you enjoy. If you don't like doing squats, don't do them. If you prefer machines to dumbbells, use those and vice versa. This is something you're going to do hopefully for the rest of your life, so make it enjoyable. Next is diet. Now, here's the rule. If you can't follow it for 5 years, don't follow it for 5 minutes. There's no point. If you think cutting carbs, going keto, fasting every day, cutting out all your favorite foods is going to work for you, and you generally think you can do that for the next 5 years, go for it. But if you're like me, bit of a foodie, or 99% of the women I speak to, you enjoy cake, enjoy a few snacks, enjoy going out for some meals. You don't want to be cutting out bread and pasta, and you don't want to feel like you're starving all the time. Here's how to do it. Step 1, this weekend, I want you to draw a 7x3 grid on a piece of paper, and then write down what you're going to be having for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 7 days. Do this every single week. I'll put on screen some of the examples I get my clients to send me. If you're out for a meal or traveling with work, just write down on that day, meal out, or social occasion or something. Now, in regards to what to eat, let's start with breakfast. You need to find your 1 to 2 breakfasts you can have most days. Breakfast should be high fat, high protein, low carbs. This is going to help keep you full, help hit your protein goal, and stabilize your energy levels. Examples: eggs, maybe half an avocado and a slice of bacon. Another example, chicken sausage with some egg on a slice of sourdough. When it comes to lunch, lunch needs to be prepared for the week at work. I know exactly what it's like when you get to lunch, you've been in back-to-back meetings all day, you've barely got a 20-minute break, nothing is prepared. This is when lunch either gets missed or you just grab whatever you see. We need to be preparing our lunches. So every weekend, make sure your lunch is prepared for at least the weekdays for the week ahead. And yes, that does include office days. Doesn't need to be anything fancy. You could rotate maybe bolognese, curry, chicken wrap. Just whatever you do, make it in a batch, make sure it's prepped to go. Now, for lunch and dinner, use this principle. A hand-sized portion of protein, so that could be chicken, mince, fish, lentils. A fist-sized portion of carbs, so rice, pasta, potatoes, a wrap. When it comes to things like a wrap or a chapati, just imagine if you scrunched it up, would it fit into a fist-sized portion? And when it comes to vegetables or fruit on the side, load it up, have as much as you want. The more the merrier. Now, dinner, prep as much as you can ahead of the week, but if family meals are important for you, no problem. You should still know what you're having that day, but again, just cook whatever you need to, and then still use that portion principle. When it comes to snacking, it's going to depend on when you get peckish, but most women I speak to is usually either the late afternoon or early evening. The key here is you don't just cut out everything and then build up massive cravings and then binge. Do this instead. At the start, pick 2 30-minute windows, for example, 3 p.m. and after dinner. At those times, have a snack and have it with some water or green tea. The rule is, keep it under 200 calories. The more volume, the better. The lower calorie, the better. but keep it under 200 calories. And a great tip, make one of them a protein bar so it still moves you towards your protein goal and it helps keep you fuller. After a couple of weeks, bring that down to just one snack window and then reduce that snack down to 150 to 100 calories. So it will still give you something to look forward to and it will massively help with cravings. When it comes to supplements, there are a few I'd recommend depending on the client's situation or their blood work, but here are 3 universal ones I would recommend for most women. Number 1, a protein shake. It helps you hit your protein goal and stay full. Have 1 to 2 scoops depending on your weight. And a great tip, have it mid-afternoon just before you have your snack, and that will massively help you stay full till dinner. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about the marketing. There's no such thing as diet protein or anything like that. All you're looking for is whey protein, W-H-E-Y. Next one will be creatine, the most studied supplement in the world. This is going to help with your workouts, your energy levels. There's actually been studies to show it. Makes you smarter and improves your memory. And last one, an A to Z multivitamin to cover any deficiencies from your diet. Outside of that, water, 2 to 3 litres a day. Alcohol, cut it out as much as possible. I know this can be hard, but there's no real way around this. The odd wine or cocktail is going to be fine, but alcohol should ultimately, it is a poison, so it should be kept to a very, very minimum. It will massively impact your fat loss results. Liquid calories, again, cut them out completely. In my opinion, there's no real reason to drink liquid calories. If you fancy like a Coke or a lemonade, just have the 0-calorie diet option. If you need caffeine, just have a black coffee over a latte or a cappuccino. When it comes to social occasions and meals out, let's say you're out for a work dinner, use the rule of 2. So that's going to be 2 courses, obviously a main course, and then a starter, dessert, or a drink, but only one of them. I'd recommend the starter, but it is up to you. For the main, pick the high protein option. The easiest way to spot that is by the name of what you're ordering. So have a look at the menu. What you're looking for is the main ingredient to be the protein source. So for example, a steak wrap or a chicken burger or a lamb shank. If it's called something like tomato pasta or pizza or risotto, it's gonna be a lot lower in protein. Remember, restaurants make their money by having all the food taste good. So you're not gonna be missing out, hopefully, unless your restaurant sucks. And where possible, try and look for the grilled or oven cooked options over the fried options. If you can, try and check the menu ahead of time so you can decide what you're gonna eat before you even get there. Last thing you wanna do is turn up hungry and just order the biggest thing you see on the menu. And your coach should be able to advise you what the best option on that menu would be. Takeaways at the start, cut them out. Pretty much any takeaway these days can be made at home with a healthier version. I give my clients a fakeaway recipe, but you can just find loads online. Just go to YouTube or TikTok, type in the name of what you fancy, and then just type the word fakeaway after and hit search. Because your meals are planned, you should have the time then to get the ingredients, make sure they're all ready for Saturday night takeaway. Make it fun. Get the kids involved if they're old enough. Later you can bring the takeaways back in, but to be honest, by then you realise you didn't want them as much as you think. You realise you weren't actually paying for the taste. We all know we can make a better burger than McDonald's at home. You were just doing it for a habit, which is why I say at the start, just cut it out. When it comes to when to eat, the main thing here is consistency. Your body releases hunger hormones based on when it thinks it expects food. So if you're consistent, you'll eventually get to a stage where you're only hungry at times you usually eat. But if you're eating breakfast one day and then the next day you don't eat till dinner, your hunger hormones are going to be all over the place, and that's when it gets difficult. And yes, this does include the weekends. No, you don't need to track your calories. You're not a bodybuilder. I've done a full video on explaining why. And one more thing, after you have your last bite of the day, let's say you've had your dinner and then you have your evening snack, go and brush your teeth straight after that. That is a great hack to stop late night snacking. I think I've covered most of the scenarios for nutrition. If you do have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. Now, up next, we have sleep. In my opinion, sleep is the most important aspect of health. I honestly believe it's more important than nutrition and exercise. Most of what I've learned and taken has come from Matthew Walker. If you are interested, his book, Why We Sleep, is definitely worth the read. But what we do here depends on where you're starting from. If you sleep 5 hours, work late, and then you're in your bed scrolling till 1 a.m., we need to start with making the small changes which are going to have the biggest impact. So I'm going to break these down into tiers based on their impact and ease of implementation. In time, you want to build up to all of these, but if you're currently doing none, don't worry. Just pick 1 to 2 per week and work your way down the list. So first is goal tier. Firstly, no phones in your bedroom. Morning sight for at least 15 minutes. 3, no caffeine after 4. Technically, it should be 10 hours because that is caffeine's half-life, but let's just start with 4. Silver tier, 3-2-1 rule. So 3 hours before bed, no food. 2 hours before bed, no more work, and 1 hour before bed, it's meant to be no screens, but I would say just have no social media. So if you want to watch maybe an episode of The Office or something like that to just calm your mind down, that's absolutely fine. Reading a book would be better, but definitely no more social media. You don't want to get your brain firing and getting those dopamine receptors going just before you're going to sleep. 2, black out your room. And 3, set a consistent bedtime and wake up time every single day, again including weekends. Bronze tier, first mouth taping so it forces you to breathe through your nose. 2, a white noise machine. And 3, keeping your room cool. With the amount of sleep, you want to be aiming for that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Yes, I know it's hard. I've got a baby. I also remember exactly what it's like when you have to work late or you've got meetings in different time zones. So don't worry, don't aim for perfection straight off the bat. Aim for gradual improvements week after week, and you will see a massive difference. We talked about the hours you sleep, we talked about the hours you train and when you eat. Now let's talk about all the rest of the hours in the day. There are endless habits we could bring in, but at the start, we want to bring in the habits which are going to give us the biggest bang for our buck. A book I would highly recommend is, I think I've got it over here, Atomic Habits by James Clear. He explains exactly what habits are, and they need to be obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. And waking up 5 a.m. to go for a run is absolutely none of those. When I onboard a client, we pull apart their whole schedule and bring in the 4 to 6 habits that will be the biggest needle movers for them. I don't know you personally or your specific schedule, so I can't pick specific ones for you yet. But here are 3 universal habits for fat loss to get you started. Number 1, a step goal. Now, don't pick a random number like 10,000. Instead, wear a tracker for a week. Find your average daily steps. So note down your steps every day for a week and then divide them by 7. If, for example, it's 7,200, round down to 7,000, and then next week aim for 8,000. Hold that for a few weeks, then go to 9,000, and so on. Long term, 12,000 is a really good target, but don't rush. The goal is to build the habit and consistently hitting your step goal. Also, don't stress about one day. Look for the weekly average. If for a couple of days you're stuck in your home office filming a ridiculously long YouTube video, make it up on Saturday and you'll still hit your weekly average. I generally think steps are the greatest exercise for fat loss. In fact, my first ever video on this channel does explain why. So if you want a full breakdown, give that a watch sometime. Number 2. A morning and evening routine. You can't always control what happens in the day, but you can always control how it starts and how you finish it. Again, the habits here need to be easy and they need to tie back to your goal. Waking up at 6 a.m, doing an ab blast in front of the TV, having 2 espressos and then checking your work emails immediately probably isn't going to be the best thing for your hormones, metabolism, energy, or your mentality. Whereas getting up, not checking tech for the first hour, going for a morning walk and getting a full glass of water, that's going to be completely different. Evening routine, you need something that sets you up for sleep. Whether that's reading 10 pages a night, laying out what you need to do tomorrow, or just setting a no work after 8 p.m. policy. Experiment, figure out what works for you. You're never going to have the perfect routine. Mine changes every few months as my goals change. But the goal is finding what works for you, your schedule, whilst moving you closer to your goals. Number 3, weighing yourself daily. Now, there are mixed opinions about this, but they've done studies where people change nothing else but start weighing themselves every day, and those people have lost more weight. I'm a big believer in you can't manage what you can't measure. Do not obsess over daily fluctuations. There will be days where your weight goes up, relax, probably water weight. There are 100 different reasons why this happens. Instead, do this. Take your daily weight every single day, and then at the end of the week, come up with your average. And then week on week, plot that on a graph and spot the overall trend. That's exactly what I do for my clients. In phase 1, there's absolutely no pressure to drop weight. Remember, you're just trying to get your body ready and getting that system in place. Phase 2, you want to be dropping on average 1 to 2 pounds a week. And last thing on habits, and to be fair, everything else we've covered so far, set up your environment to win. Get the tempting food out of the house. Join a gym that's 5 minutes away, not an hour away. Buy an umbrella and a raincoat, so when it is raining, it's not going to kill your step goal. Your environment will be the biggest difference between sticking to your plan and falling off it. Make it as easy for yourself as possible. Okay, once you finish phase 1, your body's responding well, and you now have a system that works around you and your schedule, and you enjoy, you're ready for phase 2. Day to day, you shouldn't see a massive change from phase 1, but this is going to be the phase where you ultimately get to your result. It's also going to be the longest phase, so the key here is going to be consistency. The plan should be dynamic, so it should change as your body changes. Your coach should show you when to make changes and what changes to make. But here are 3 things to keep in mind. Number 1, as you get fitter and stronger, you need to progress each week. This is called progressive overload, and it can be added to the habits we spoke about earlier, but it also applies to your workouts. If you're doing 3 sets of 10 reps of shoulder press, a rep being how many times you do a movement and a set being how many rounds you do it, next week aim for 11 reps, then the week after that 12 reps. Once you hit 12, add some weight. So if you're pressing 10 kilograms, add a kilogram to each side, and then go back to 8 to 10 reps, and then repeat the process. There are other methods like tempo and drop sets, but to be honest, for your first couple of years, this is going to be plenty. Again, good coach will guide you through what changes to make so you can keep progressing week after week. Number 2, deload weeks. This will depend on the size of your transformation, but a deload week is basically a reset. If you're losing a significant amount of weight, you need to keep it enjoyable. So it helps have checkpoints where the intensity will drop off for a week or two. Example, if you're going from 200 pounds to 150 pounds, at certain points, your body will fight back. Training will feel harder, appetite will creep up, and that's going to be completely normal. So with clients, I schedule in deload weeks. That might mean a few extra calories for those weeks, fewer gym sessions, or even just taking the week off training. And if your coach plans it well, these deload weeks can line up with harder periods anyway. So things like when you're going on holiday or Christmas or Ramadan or Diwali. 3, plateaus. Let's just set some expectations. You will hit plateaus. If you're trying to lose more than 10 pounds, it's very unlikely you're going to lose 1 to 2 pounds every single week perfectly in a straight line. There will be weeks where the scale doesn't move. There will be weeks where you feel stuck at the gym. There will be weeks where you notice your waistline hasn't changed. This will happen. This is normal. The important thing is not to give up and not base what you do on what you see. If you stay consistent, you trust the process, you will break those plateaus. Now, that being said, there are a few tools to break through that plateau, but here's not what to do. Do not panic and start skipping meals or doing a ton of cardio every single day. Your hormones and metabolism will go back into that survival mode and you'll end up worse off. Instead, use some sustainable tools. Speak to your coach on what best fits you, but here's 3 examples. Tool number 1, I call this the cardio accelerator. Add some cardio, but nothing crazy. Start with maybe 2 20-minute sessions a week. If you do cardio and weights in the same session, do the cardio after the weights, not before. Keep it light, so rowing, Stairmaster, something where you are going to be working, but you don't feel like you can have a conversation, but if you had to, you could. You don't want the intensity to be so high that you can't catch your breath. That's going to be the sweet spot. Tool 2, increase your sleep. Literally adding an extra hour can do wonders for your hormones, your energy, and your fat loss. You burn a ton of fat when you sleep. And tool number 3, more steps. Change absolutely nothing else and just add 2 to 3 more thousand steps, which is about 20 minutes. This isn't going to be forever. This is just to break that plateau. Now, with phase 2, my advice is to enjoy it. If you do this right, this will be the moment your life will change forever and you never go back to that old version of yourself. I went through this phase back in 2021 and I still look back with fond memories. Going from the fat partner consultant to who I became. I got 3 promotions within a year after that. I got asked to start speaking on stages and webinars for the company. And then shortly after that, building enough confidence to leave the corporate world altogether and chase this new dream I had of creating a fitness system and helping others. So don't rush it. If it takes 6 months, it takes 6 months. If it takes a year, it takes a year. At least this time, you're eating the food you enjoy. You're seeing changes in the mirror month after month, and you'll realize how far you are coming. And I don't care what anyone says, the identity shift, which is ultimately what you need, will not come from a 12 weeks to shredded program. So that brings us to the end of phase 2, where everything will go completely perfectly and you'll hit your goal, right? Wrong. Something will come up in phase 2, probably more than once. That's just life. You have to accept you're not going to have a plan for absolutely everything, and that's completely fine. That shouldn't stop you getting started. And a good coach will be able to guide you through the hard times, tell you what you need to do, and hold you accountable. But here's how to handle some common situations. Illness. It sucks, but when it happens, stop. Your recovery becomes priority. Unless it's just a sore throat or a headache or something you could probably push through, stop. Don't go to the gym. You're going to prolong the recovery and your workout's probably going to suck anyway. Better to rest and then come back quicker than drag through a suboptimal session and extend the illness. Nutrition shouldn't really change much. If anything, now's the time to make sure your body is fueled. Relax the step count. Still get out for some fresh air if you can, but your main objective is recovery. Get as much sleep and as much rest as possible. Holidays. Firstly, don't stress. You're not going to lose months and months of progress in a couple of weeks. But here are a few protocols I give my clients. Firstly, stay active. Don't lie by the pool every day. Schedule in some activities. Go and explore. Get your steps in. Do things with your kids or your partner. And you'll probably actually often find you get more movement in than you would working from home anyway. Make smart food choices. By all means, go and enjoy the local delicacies, but protein should still be the priority at every meal. Fruit and veg, again, have as much as you want. Comes to carbs, you don't need to be as strict as the fist rule we spoke about earlier, but at the same time, don't be going to the buffet and pulling out a plate on the side full of carbohydrates on the side of your meal for no reason every single night. Desserts, set rules. 5 different types of cake after lunch and dinner every single day isn't going to be great, but maybe pick a few evenings or say, hey, after dinner, I'm going to have one dessert. That's going to be completely fine for a couple of weeks. Alcohol. Now, I'm not saying don't drink, but set rules so you're not caught off guard when the waiter comes round and asks you if you want your 6th pina colada of the afternoon. Maybe that's a time window, so you only drink in a specific time window. Maybe you only drink at meals. Set some rules that you think you can follow. But mostly, go and enjoy it, and then when you get back, just pick up right where you left off. Now, what happens when you're busy at work? Remember, I was a consultant, I was a project manager. I know what it's like when you've got a project and you're about to go live, or you're preparing for a webinar or presentation first thing in the morning. But here's how I handled it. Firstly, I accepted there are going to be days where all I do is work late into the evening. But if this is happening regularly, that's on me. Either I'm not managing my time well, or I haven't set clear expectations with my partners and director. But there are non-negotiables, i.e. whatever I've set and prepped, even if that's just a little bit later. I never miss my morning and evening routine more than 2 days in a row. And I still hit my weekly steps average, even if it just means I make up for it later. And I get at least 2 workouts in, even if it's on the weekend. Work will always be work. It's always going to be busy. There's always going to be projects, emails, meetings. But remember, your health is number one. And lastly, sometimes you'll just go off track. Maybe something happens, maybe you get some bad news and the next few days just become a write-off. That's completely fine. But remember, that's why the why is so important. If it's not big enough, you're not coming back. But if you do go off track, stop, relax, just pick up the next day where you left off. Don't punish yourself. Don't try and make up for lost time or starve yourself. Just return to the plan as if you hadn't missed it. Okay, phase 3. In my opinion, the most important part. The goal was never to lose weight. The goal was to lose weight and keep it off forever. So this phase has 2 parts: easing you off the plan and then setting you up for the rest of your life. So first part, easing you off. Once you reach your goal, we slowly bring your calories up, which is called reverse dieting. Basically the opposite of what we did at the start. Your new body has a different metabolism. So if you just stop the plan and then go back to eating what you used to before, guess what happens? You put it back on. So it does seem kind of obvious, right? But this is what happens to most people. In fact, 94% of women who lose weight put the weight back on. To avoid that, we gradually add your calories over the next few weeks to create your new baseline. Now, this is different for every single person, so get help from a coach here. It needs to be done slowly and methodically and with the right amounts. But if you do this properly, you'll never need to lose this weight ever again. And then 2, setting you up for the rest of your life. By now, you will be a different person. As cliche as that sounds, you just will be. You'll have a different identity and you'll understand fitness is for life, not just for 12 weeks. So here are 3 things going forward. Firstly, set new goals. Now you've lost the weight, go and do something with it. Sign up for that 5K. Go and start a new hobby. My client, Daljeet, that you saw earlier, she decided once her confidence came back, she'd get back into teaching Zumba.
I don't know if you remember at the beginning, I was saying a lot of my confidence had been knocked back and stuff like that. And funny enough, that side of things has really picked up for me. So I started to teach Zumba again.
Yeah, I remember you saying at the start of the year.
Which hit off really well. So they've asked for another class. So from after Easter, I'll be putting on another class there, which is great.
Set a goal that excites you. This is where life becomes fun. Number 2, set your non-negotiables going forward. You can't just stop training, moving and eating well, but you will have more flexibility. So choose your non-negotiables. That could be a morning walk every single day, committing to a minimum of 7 hours sleep, getting a weight session in at least twice a week, setting an 8K step goal. And honestly, by now it'll be easy. This will basically be second nature to you anyway. Even if you have the odd lazy weekend, by Monday you'll be itching to get back into it. And 3, don't stop progressing and learning. I joined my first gym in 2008. 18 years later, I'm still learning new things every single month. Subscribe to a few YouTube channels, find a couple of fitness podcasts, but keep learning. Now, you need 2 things to get to your results. A plan that's specific to you, your schedule, your lifestyle, and your body. And 2, someone to hold you accountable to that plan and guide you through the different phases. When it comes to finding a coach, find someone that you resonate with. Doesn't have to be me, but find someone you believe in. Here's what to look for. Do they walk the walk themselves? Have they been in my situation? And have they helped people just like me? That's why I only work with remote professional women with demanding careers, because that was me for 10 years, minus the woman part. That's who I've helped, and that's who I'll continue to help. If you'd like my help, there will be a link in the description to apply to work one-to-one with me. If not and you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and YouTube thinks you should watch this video next. All right, let's go and have a beer and some takeaway.